But for Tennessee and the Indianapolis Colts, the strengths and weaknesses of this roster or those rosters, where do they lie? And uh, in terms of translating it to camp slash preseason, what are the things that you're looking for to like get a more solid understanding or draw a solid conclusion on those strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, so I mean, starting with the Colts, I mean, obviously the run game and the offensive line are going to be major strengths. Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly up front in the offensive line, and in the run game, had the third leading rusher in the NFL last year, and this was from a guy who missed 2 games and also had, I think, 3 separate games where he had under 10 carries, and he was still third in the NFL in rushing yards. So they're a great running team. They have a great offensive line up front. Philip Rivers was like the second least sacked quarterback in the league last year. And then on defense, obviously you have your two stars inside with Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner. One of the best run defending teams in the league the last 3 years. I believe that yards per carry against the last 3 years, like 3.8 yards a carry, 3.7, except when they played the Titans. And then the rest of the defense, that middle of the defense, pretty much all the way back. The interior defensive line, linebackers, and safeties are all very, very good for the Colts. The biggest issue, honestly, and what we're really looking for in training camp is who's going to be those outside pass rushers. Can Kwity Paye step up? Can Tyquan Lewis take the next step? Maybe one of those young pass rushers they drafted the last couple of years, Kamoko Toure, Ben Banogu, can solidify starting roles. And it's really about seeing what those young guys can
You
do
said that
this
name
year.
very smoothly, by the way. I was like, who
Oh,
the hell is
yeah.
that? Yeah, I was like,
I
what?
practice,
Oh
just
man,
practice in the mirror every
I
single
respect
day.
it.
That's what you
Now
do.
say it 3 times
But
fast right now.
Ben Banogu.
All right.
Then I'll get like a call from him later being like, "You messed it up." No.
So,
uh,
my bad. I didn't know you
yeah,
were done. Bro. Go
you're
ahead.
good. But the other big issue, kind of on defense, is that outside corner spot with Rock Ya-Sin had a kind of up and down year. A couple other young guys, Marvell Tell's taking a shot at it as well. And then on offense, it all comes down to one person. It's Carson Wentz. What Carson Wentz are we getting? 2017, 2018, 2019, and hopefully not 2020. There's so many different versions of Carson Wentz. And honestly, it's simplistic to say, but the whole season comes down to whatever he does. If he gets back to 2017 levels, yeah, they can definitely compete for the AFC title. If he gets back to 2018 levels, they can be a good team as well. If he's 2019 or 2018, or 2019 or 2020, especially if he's 2020, they'll be picking high in the draft, and it won't be as pretty. So it really comes down to Carson Wentz and his development. Hopefully, he's able to bounce back to the Carson Wentz that led the team to one of the best records in the NFC years ago, and ultimately that team won a Super Bowl.
Sure. Shai, before you go, I just wanted to ask if you could just touch on what you thought about what you think about Anthony Ferguson being the tight end 1 this year and moving forward with that. But just go ahead.
Yeah, I love Anthony Ferguson. I have for a while. I thought last year he was underutilized. I mean, every time the guy saw football, he caught it. I know Johnny Smith's fantastic, and I loved him. I want them to keep him. Obviously, New England got him, but you talk about paying your dues. Well, Anthony Ferguson has paid his dues, and it's time that he gets the opportunity to be the premier tight end. There was rumblings a few months back, that maybe we would go after Zach Ertz. Maybe we try to get an Njoku or there was an OJ Howard, some guys that were possibly available. But it looks like the dust is settling, and I think we're going to be sticking with Ferguson. And realistically, I would have to double check right now who number 2 is in our depth chart as far as tight end.
Might be Swam or Michael Perry.
Swam. Come on, man.
Just Swam. I mean, I don't know how much I love that, but at the end of the day, Ferguson, he's a phenomenal player. He's an Ivy leaguer, so I'm happy. I'm very happy, and I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people. And I mean, he's another guy you look at, and he should be grinning from ear to ear every time he wakes up, because he's on a football team that literally is not going to have enough guys to cover him. I mean, he should be almost every possession. He should just be sitting there, right around the first down marker, like what's going on? Like, where is everyone? Like, Fresh Prince when he's in the living room looking around, like where are all the defenders? So he has potential to really do some damage, and I think Josh Reynolds is another guy. just to touch on real quick, who obviously right now is considered a third option at wide receiver. He's got to be ecstatic. I mean, there's just, like I said, the numbers don't lie. There's only 11 guys in the field, and you need about probably 15 to 20 in order to contain A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry. So as far as Firkser is concerned, I'm very optimistic about his 2021 season.
Would you still think? Yeah, like is the secondary still a concern for you all in Tennessee? How big of a concern is that?
Yeah, so now I'll leap into kind of the quick pros and cons about where we're at. So obviously the pros are pretty much.
Oh, did we lose? Did we lose?
Running back.
Okay, here we go. I thought we did.
Where did I cut off? Were you guys hearing me or still or no?
Pros and cons, and it stopped there.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So pros and cons. Obviously, the pros are our offense, right? I mean, that's an obvious thing. Our receiving core and a running back. That's our three-headed monster. Not to sound like what you would consider a homer, where you only say positive stuff, but I think the negative as of right now is just the unknown, because I think all the pieces are there for to be successful. I love the Caleb Farley pick. People compare him to Deion Sanders when he's healthy. He's the fastest guy on the team by a landslide, and he's just that guy. He's a ball hawk. So he's another guy like Jeffrey Simmons that would have been way higher on the board if the injury wasn't a concern. We don't know the seriousness of his back injury. He claims on social media he's ready to go. We will see. Yeah. Obviously, he's not training yet, but he doesn't really need to. As long as we see him sometime late August, we'll know, okay, he's ready to go. Elijah Molden, the guy we got from, I believe, Washington, another quarterback, he supposedly was one of the premier slot corners in the draft, and we got him at a great value where we got him. So, like I said, it's the unknown for us. Is the secondary still a concern as it stands right now on July 28th? Yes, because we never seen any of these guys compete. And right now, Janoris Jenkins is our top corner, who obviously has some miles on the tires, but we hope that he can go back to his old Giant days. And he was actually fairly well. He was fairly good for New Orleans. So even if we get him back to where he was in New Orleans, that's okay. And pass rush is an unknown.
We need Fulton to play better too. I need Fulton.
100%. He's another guy. He's an X factor. Kevin Byard. What kind of Kevin Byard are we going to see this year? Are we going to see last year to where he was a ghost and literally he would run away from the ball? Or are we going to see Kevin Byard from 2017, 2016, where he was getting a pick every game, it seemed like. So a lot of unknowns, but the pieces are in place. And I think the biggest of all of them is the pass rush. Are the pieces there? Autry, Simmons, Dupree, Landry. Yeah, the pieces are there. Are they going to produce? We don't know. We hope, but we don't know. But if everyone does their job correctly, I think this team is definitely built to compete for a championship.